degästani teema.
Alright, we'll get started. I'm going to talk about Drush. And that, I'll do a little intro for those who saw the first session where I introduced myself. Sorry, I'll repeat, just for people who weren't in that session. My name's Addison Berry. Adwin Sun is my nickname pretty much all over the interwebs. I work for Lullabot, and I'm the Director of Education and Product Manager for Drupal, which is our online video training service that we provide. And I've been with the Drupal community for about 6 years.
Is there a microphone you could use?
Yeah, I can try this. Does it work? It's not lighting. There we go. Light. Talking. There it is. It's warming up.
Is it loud enough?
Yeah. Is that good? All right. Yeah, before we get started, I have sparkly pony stickers. So if you would like a sparkly pony like I have on my laptop, they're very popular at DrupalCon, so I figured I would bring them here. Just that's a little FYI. So Drush is the Drupal shell. That's where the word comes from. And what does that mean? It's a command line tool for using Drupal. So you're used to doing a lot of things on this when you're building a site or working with a site. There's a lot of pointing and clicking, and like things like installing modules and stuff like that. And what Drush is a tool that you can just type this into a command line in a terminal and have it do those tasks for you without you having to actually point and click around. And it is written in PHP, same language that Drupal is written in. And it is not actually a module that you install in your site. This is something that lives outside of your Drupal sites. This lives on your laptop or on your server or in your computer. And it is just a tool that your computer can use to interact with your Drupal websites. So it's a little bit of a... and one thing I'll say is, like, it's this command line thing, and a lot of people go, you just like command line lady. But you don't have to be like some command line wizard or anything like that. It's a really simple, straightforward tool to use. I am by no means a power user of Drush. I use Drush every day with my work, though. I tend to use the same basic, simple commands, and I get stuff done. And it just saves me a lot of time. So you don't have to be some kind of like weird wizard or anything like that to use it. And it really is a very helpful tool if you take some time to understand what it can do for you and learn at least a few helpful commands in front. So the point of it, related to that, is common tasks, so you can just type them into the command line rather than actually going into the website, clicking this page, waiting for it to load, clicking that page, waiting for it to load, and that kind of thing. It does have a lot of information, so you can sort of find what the commands are and what they do, and there's built-in documentation into Drush so that you can find what you need about it. And it can be extended, and we'll talk about this a little bit in the presentation, but there are other modules that provide additional stuff. If you're a coder, you can also create your own Drush commands and add them to Drush yourself. So if it's something that's really particular to your workflow or your organization, and you just want to be able to have a simple 3-word command to do that task, you can write that yourself and add it to Drush. So it's pretty cool. To get Drush, it's not a module that you download and install, but it is still a project on Drupal.org. So it's just a project/Drush. There's a lot of documentation there. There's a website for Drush. So there's tons of documentation about how to get it set up in various environments. It's originally designed like shells is a very Linuxy kind of thing. It was definitely designed to work on Linux-based systems. So Mac OS X and Linux, it's all good and well. But there's been a lot of work. It didn't really work on Windows, basically, but there's been a lot of work, and there's now a Windows installer. So you can actually get this up and running on Windows. I myself have not actually tried that because I don't have a Windows machine, but just so you know that that's there, and there's a lot of documentation. But the basic steps are, you get it, you grab that tarball, zip file, and put it somewhere on your computer. It could be anywhere you want on your computer. You just need to know where it is. And then you need to add the Drush command to your path. So this is nerd speak. But basically, what you're doing is you're putting this folder that contains a number of files somewhere on your computer. And whenever you type something into a terminal or command line, it's going to need to know where is your Drush command? Where does that file live on your computer? Again, there's lots of documentation around how to do this. The simplest way to do that is to create a symlink or a shortcut link kind of ish thing. Or if you understand what a bash profile is, or whatever shell you use, then you can do it in there. We do have a free video on Drupalize Me that goes over installation. So if you actually want to watch somebody do it, if you're suspicious, that's a free one that you can just watch and actually help walk you through the steps. Once you have Drush up there, and this is going to be a presentation, it's an overview. We're not actually going to do a lot of stuff because we just don't have time. But it's mostly just to let you know what the tool is and some of the basic information about it, and then you can go play with it. So, but one of the great things with Drush is Drush help. You kind of use that all the time. Every time I'm doing something that's remotely new. But if you do Drush help, it lists all of the commands, and then you can pick a command and get help on that, and it will explain. It gives an example of how to use each of the commands, so all the commands have an example with them. So it's really good documentation. And you don't have to go off to some other site and try and find it. It's all built in. So once you have Drush installed, you have all of the actual documentation. I would say this is the stuff that's most commonly used. Like everybody can use these commands, these kinds of tasks. And this is like what I use, like day in, day out kind of a thing. You can actually download and install Drupal itself on the command line, like you just Drush DL for download Drupal, and it will go out to Drupal.org and it will grab the latest version, the latest stable version of Drupal, and download it to your computer. Ta-da! You don't have to go to the website, you don't have to click anything, you don't have to unzip anything, nothing. And again, there are like arguments, so if you want a specific version, if you want to change the name of the directory, all those things are available. But it's just like, so you can do the same thing with modules, themes, any project on Drupal.org. Drush DL views, Drush DL features, whatever it is that you need, it's just those 3 words, and it'll download it and stick it into the right directory. Like you don't have to go into the modules, sites, all modules, and then put it in there. If you're in your Drupal site and you just say Drush download views, it's going to stick it in your modules folder where it belongs. And then again, enabling and disabling stuff. So I need to turn the module off, I need to turn it on. Again, it's just Drush EN for enable views, and it turns it on. And it also understands dependencies. So when you say that, it's going to tell you the projects that it's going to actually enable. Finding the status of projects and getting and running updates as well. So, what modules are out of date. Run the update for me. So I need to update some contrib modules. There's 3 that are out of date. Tell Drush, go grab that stuff and run the update DB for me. I don't have to go, actually in my site and go to the update script page and then run it and click all that stuff. Just type the command in and Drush will take care of running the DB update for you. So this is the kind of stuff that I use all the time. And yeah?
You never clear the cache to Drush?
Well, but that's on the next page. This is just like actually dealing with projects and project management. There's a lot. This is like the tip of the iceberg when using Drush. But even if you don't ever do anything beyond this with Drush, it's a really helpful tool at this level. And all site builders end up doing this clicky stuff all frickin' time. So this is super helpful right there. There are other, and this is again just a really short list, just sort of examples of stuff. It's kind of endless. But clearing the cache, how many people do development or theming and need to clear the cache on the site? Like how many times a day? Like, really? And I know, like, you know, in Drupal 7 now there's like the little shortcut bar so you can put the, you know, your performance, you know, clear cache performance thing there, so it's easier to click to, but really? So with this is like, I can't live without Drush because of this. Because it's just Drush CC all, clears all my caches. If I just want to clear one, I can put in the name of the one I want. But literally, it takes 2 seconds for me to type that and clear the cache. Oh my god. So yeah, huge lifesaver. You can access and manipulate the database. There's tons of SQL stuff that you can do. You can do stuff like mess around with users. You can log in as another user on the site to execute something. It's really great when you need to reset the password because you don't really remember. You can actually like change passwords just through Drush commands, which is handy, even for user one. Generating dummy content, you know, like Devel Generate. How many people use Devel Generate? If you don't, it's pretty awesome because when you're site building, it just basically creates lots of random nodes, users, taxonomies, whatever. So you can fill a site out with content to see how your site is taking shape before you have real content. But again, you can do that from you can just do that from command line. You can just type in, you know, generate 50 like nodes or something. It'll just do it. And there's also a Drush command line because you end up, and I don't tend to use this as much myself because I don't tend to do a lot of heavy duty stuff in Drush. It tends to be a command and I go do something in the command. But if you're doing a lot of stuff in Drush, you can actually tell Drush, I don't want to keep typing Drush. Like, I'm over it. And so you can enter the Drush command line, and then you can just type CC all, and it'll clear your cache for you. And so, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Drush comes with some core commands, like that project management stuff, clearing the cache, those kinds of things. That just comes with Drush when you download it. As you enable other contributed modules, they can add their own Drush commands. And so there are lots of handy modules out there that are handy tools, and they expose themselves to Drush. And so that's where like like generating that content, dummy content stuff like that. Devel module is a really handy module, and it has a bunch of commands. Backup and migrate, so you can run like if you use backup and migrate on your site. Instead of going into the backup and migrate interface and clicking and I want to do this, you can just type the command in and have it run. Things like features. How many people here use features on a regular basis? It can be kind of a pain in the ass when you update a feature, and then you have to go and you have to recreate it, and then you have to put it in, and really? It should be simpler. But it's great because, and I use this a lot because we use features that are Drupalize me. And so whenever we make a change to a feature, then I just do Drush FU, feature update, and the name of the feature. And then I don't have to actually go and download and do that recreate and all that stuff, and then I can just commit my stuff to Git. And like I said earlier, you can add your own commands. So if there's stuff that you're doing and you want to do, you can write up your own little script thing and then tell Drush, hey, use this and this is what the command word is. It's really nice. And then like I said, that's like the tip of the iceberg. It kind of keeps going and going. But one other really cool thing that I like and we use with Drush as well is aliases, where you can basically create your own little nickname for various sites that you might be working on, whether they're local or remote or wherever, however you want to deal with it. So you don't have to like always CD into the directory and make sure you're in the right sites folder and all this other stuff to make sure that Drush, because Drush needs to know what site you're talking about. It can't just randomly download files into something for you. It needs to know where the site is. And if you have like, if I have 5 different sites on my local machine, I have to go into the site that I want to download views to, so that Drush is like, oh, you want it in this folder. When you use aliases, though, I don't have to actually even move around. I just tell Drush, no, when I mean, you know, it's my Drupalize me local, then it just knows because I've already written out like you just have, it's a really small file with a little bit of information, and you tell it which directory is it in, which computer, which server is it on. You can do this remotely as well. And so you can use SSH And like, so this is just some examples, just because it's a little, examples of like how we've done stuff. Whenever I'm updating the dev site and I'm trying to pull everything current for where we are in our sprint or something like that, we want to sync down basically from our production server, from our live server to the dev server, so it's up to date. And so for our sync down, part of what we have in our sync down is we have Drush, and Drush has an rsync, and Drush has an SQL sync command. Very handy, if you didn't know that. And then we have this this alias here, so this is our production site. So we've identified the production site in the file, and we have our dev site, which we've done in the file. And so I don't have to actually, like, when I'm doing our sync, like, I don't have to actually know what the server, what was the server name, the IP for that, and what's the user I'm supposed to log in, and all that stuff is all already in a file that's just sitting there that Drush can access. So this one line here will rsync the files directory from our production server down to our dev server. Drush knows where the files directory is because that's part of your Drupal installation. So you don't need to tell it where the files directory is. It knows. And so you just put in this variable. So that's all I need to do to bring down my files directory. Same thing here with the SQL sync. And I don't want the cache tables. I don't need to carry all the cache stuff from my live site down. And there are other things you can put on here. But again, I want to synchronize the databases, and I want to pull down from prod, and I want to bring it down to dev. Done. So super, super handy. And when you have like these kinds of things, like this is like very nice and succinct and clean, and you can just sort of write this once and then reuse this. This can go into a script. So for we have like a number of things with, particularly around development, but also on our live site when we launch the way that we do it. We have scripts that run. But you know, this is just a command that can be put in any bash script, any shell script that you just run on your site. For our dev site, we have Jenkins, which is like an automated buildy thing that the server guys put up. But basically, it's set up so that like every time we commit to our dev branch in Git, once that gets up to the repo, the remote repo, Jenkins actually builds everything out, and it just runs through a series of these kinds of things. It's just a script that it runs through and does every time. It does this stuff, plus it'll revert all of our features. So FRA is features revert all, so I want to revert all my features back to the code. And then it'll do like an update on DB if there are any updates that need to be run, and then it'll clear the cache. And then our dev site is completely up to date and everything's running. I don't have to click through all that crap because that ends up just sucking a lot of time out of my day. And I know, just like I'm sure you guys, that you have more important things to do than click frickin' buttons for half of the day. So anyway, that's sort of an example of you know, how we use it, and there's, like I said, there's a million things you can do with it. It's a really awesome tool. And even if you're a little bit afraid of command line, you owe it to yourself to check Drush out. So, we do have some time for questions. But before that, I just want to, we do have a coupon for Drupalize Me. It is a subscription-based thing. But you can get $20 off your first month if you just want to try something. But anyway, we do have an entire series on Drush. So the installation thing is free. So if you just want to see how to install Drush or something like that, that's cool. But if you do want to watch the other stuff and you're interested, you can at least use that coupon to get some money off that first month. Right on. So anybody have questions? Anybody hungry? I'm hungry. I also had a lot of fun last night. So I think I need something greasy. All right, well, thanks a lot, guys, and enjoy the rest of the camp.